Welcome everyone to Caleb Watches Movies, the channel where I, Caleb, randomly select from one of the many movies that I own and I watch and review them for you, unlike days like today where I take a bunch of movies and I rank the crap out of them. What a year it's been for this channel. We have grown in subscriber counts. I'm getting a ton of PayPal recommendations and donations in from many of you out there. Thank you so much to everyone who has contributed and donated to this channel. It means the world to me, and you keep helping make this channel grow. I can't wait to see what all of you do on this channel next year and what you contribute next year. So as a thank you to all of you, this week I thought it would just be a ranking week where I would go back and talk about films that I've watched and rank them in terms of like good and bad. Today is the bad day. Now on Friday I'm going to be releasing my ranking of the top 10 best films of 2022. Those films are going to all take place in 2022 or released in 2022, because this year I actually had the guts to go out and watch movies at the movie theater. How cool is that? So I definitely have enough from the current time in 2022 to make a top 10 list out of that. But I don't have the intention of going out and seeking to watch a bunch of shit that came out this year. So for this ranking, it is going to be the top 10 worst movies that I reviewed in 2022. Not necessarily released in 2022. There are a couple on this list. But again, from all the movies that I've seen this year, I haven't seen 10 terrible movies that were released this year. But I have seen 10 terrible movies, some that were recommended by people who made PayPal donations, some were just random selections off of my wall that I wanted to watch. There are 10 doozies, and I think we need to get into it. These are the 10 worst movies that I, Caleb, on Caleb Watches Movies, reviewed in 2022. At number 10 on this list, one of the worst movies that I reviewed, a movie that just got under my skin and pissed me off so frickin' much, was a French romantic film called Rust and Bone. It's the story about a whale trainer and a kind of Street Fighter boxer dude who is a complete dick and an asshole to this woman, and for some reason, this woman decides to stay with him. And that's beautiful. I got a lot of comments on that video saying, like, this movie is great, it is beautiful, it's wonderful. What the hell are you not seeing, Caleb? And I don't know what I'm not seeing, because from what I saw, there is nothing there between these people, and, you know, they kind of seem very miserable with each other. This guy is offering to give this woman sex because she loses her legs in all energy to be with someone, so he's like, yeah, okay, I'll fuck you. There you go. Bye. But then she gets angry when he has other people on the side, even though they never made the establishment that they were boyfriend and girlfriend. So it's really on the... I hated this freaking movie. It screamed pretension in my face, and it's like, oh, hey, look at this beautiful love story, and it's realistic. Look at these real characters and their real love for each other. I don't give two shits about these characters or seeing this movie again. At number 9 is another well-known dramatic piece that many people have great affiliation for and love the piece, but for me, again, it screamed a whole bunch of pretension in my face, and that is a movie called Beautiful, starring Javier Bardem and directed by Alejandro Iñárritu, who has directed some great pictures that I've loved over the years. This one, though, is not one of them. The movie is about a guy who finds out he is dying from cancer and proceeds to continue dying from cancer. And you're left wondering, like, oh, what's going to happen to your kids? Are your kids going to be taken care of? Oh, and hey, he's a medium for families of dead people. He can hear their thoughts, and that's how he makes money. And then also, he's kind of a trafficker and helps immigrants come into the country and get them jobs, but there is a terrible accident where all of them die. I'm laughing at that. That's terrible. But this movie just felt very pretentious, and it's just like, look at how serious life is. You see how serious it is? This is just a beautiful movie. You know, nothing is better than this one. Look at this. Javier Bardem gives an amazing performance. I will be honest with that. He is stellar in this movie. It's just the story itself, the character arcs, where they go in this movie, who these people are. I just couldn't care at all about them, and I wanted to turn this movie off so frickin' much the entire time I watched it. I hated it. At number 8 is a version of a story that has been made and remade into different film and TV projects. This is The Three Musketeers from 1973. What a frickin' mess this movie is. And I mean literal mess, going from the terrible ADR that this movie has to the absolutely god-awful fight choreography that we get in this movie. It looks messy. It looks not planned at all. It just looks like they're just going out there and swinging their swords around and falling around and swiping curtains, and they're acting like chickens with their heads cut off. Which, if I'm a fight choreographer for a production, whether that's play, film, TV, whatever, I don't want any of my fight choreography to look like it's just random chaotic shit like that. Because you know what happens when there is chaos in your choreography? People get hurt, like what happened in this movie. In my review, I made a comment that Oliver Reed's character was attached to a wheel, and the guy he was fighting kind of lunges his sword at him and cuts him in the neck, and you can see Oliver Reed like grab his throat and start choking, and then the next scene, his arm is just in the sling and he's fine. And I just thought that was terrible continuity. Like, no, he was stabbed in the throat. Why is his arm in a sling? That doesn't make sense. And then someone commented on my review informing me that no, that was an actual accident. Oliver Reed almost died from that. He was actually stabbed in the throat. He was literally grabbing his throat to stay alive. That shit should never happen. This version of The Three Musketeers is terrible, and I never want to see it again. Give me my Disney version from 1993 with Tim Curry and Chris O'Donnell and Charlie Sheen. That's the only version I need. At number 7 is an animated picture that I watched around my birthday time this year. Batman: The Killing Joke. The only DC animated project that I told my wife, hey, you want to go to the movies and actually watch this? They're doing a special presentation of this, and I really want to see this because this is one of the most famous Batman graphic novels, right? This gives the backstory of the Joker and how crazy he is, and he's just so crazy. But then you have to realize that the actual graphic novel itself is only like 24 pages long. It's not long at all. Definitely not long enough to make at least an hour animated special. I think it's like an hour and a half or hour 20. But definitely not enough there to make an entire animated special. So what do the animators do? They create this side Batgirl storyline that has absolutely nothing to do with the Killing Joke story. And it pissed me the fuck off. Like, what is this? What is the point of this? There is no point here. The only point of creating this side story of Batgirl is that you, the creepy, horny-ass animators, want to create a little love sex scene between Batgirl and Batman. Why? Because you're freaking horny creepers. That's why. That's the only reason that first 30 minutes or whatever exist. So the animators can outlive their childhood sex fantasies and be like, hey, Batgirl and Batman are fucking. Now this movie is starring the voices of Mark Hamill as the Joker, who is one of the best Joker voices out there, and then also the best voice of Batman, Kevin Conroy, who sadly passed away this year. It broke my heart when I learned that. He was such a sweetheart when I met him at Comic-Con, got his autograph. He was a great guy to chit-chat with, and he took a picture with me and my wife. He's just a freaking great guy, and when I learned that, it just broke my freaking heart, because he's the reason why I started watching Batman, why I got into Batman. It was Batman the Animated Series. So to not have that voice anymore, it brings tears to my eyes. I hate it. R.I.P. Kevin Conroy, you will be missed. Just not in this movie, though. This movie was pretty freaking bad. At number 6 is a movie that was released in 2022 on Amazon Prime. It is a superhero movie, of course, a movie called The Samaritan, with Sylvester Stallone doing his superhero thing, his gritty superhero Rocky thing, you know, hey guys! So the city is under turmoil because the villain was defeated by Samaritan, and then Samaritan hasn't been seen since. And this kid is obsessed with finding Samaritan, and then thinks he finds Samaritan, and then finds Samaritan, and he's all, like, happy and stalks the guy. But then this kid is also in cahoots with the evil gang of the city, who, I gotta tell you, are pretty frickin' wimpy, in my opinion. And there's a moment in here where the gang finds out who Samaritan is. They find out that it's Sylvester Stallone, so they go over to his apartment, and the kid, like always, is always creeping on his stuff, so he's in that apartment and sees the evil gang come up, and they're coming up the stairs. So the kid decides to hide, and wait for the gang to like go past him, and then he goes down the stairs, and then he goes to his house, which is across the way. It's across the street. So he goes up to his apartment where his mother is, and he's telling his mom, "Mom, we need to go, because they're here. They're gonna find us. They're gonna find us, Mom!" When the gang had no idea that he lived there, or that he was even there, but he decides to take his mom and go to the window and watch the gang from the other side. And then the gang sees him, and then he starts putting it together like, oh, it's the kid, let's go get him. The stupidity of these characters in this movie is so fucking annoying, to the point where I wanted everyone to die. I will never be watching this movie again. I really hope we don't get any sequels to this. I don't think we're gonna. At number 5, speaking of sequels, is a sequel that I never want to see a sequel made to this sequel ever again, and that is Halloween Ends Finally. I thought the 2018 revisiting, remake version of Halloween, or like the first like remake sequel to it, whatever, I thought that was pretty good, and it was a nice reintroduction to this character of Michael Myers, bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis as this badass person who's being ready for Michael Myers whenever he gets out, because you know he's gonna get out. I like that version. And then we got Halloween Kills, that was definitely a step back. They were trying to do, trying to amplify all of the kills and stuff, and it didn't really advance anything. So I was very hopeful for Halloween Ends. Hopefully they would bring this to a nice little climax. I guess speaking of climax, they basically turn Michael Myers into an STD. Because Michael Myers is barely in this movie. I guess his presence there is infecting certain people with the evil that he omits from his little sewer cavern. And because he touches one of our lead characters in this movie, now he's infected, and then he has sex with Laurie's daughter, and then she starts acting all angry and stuff. So now she's infected. He's literally an STD in this movie. So fucking stupid. And for reasons I don't really know. I'm just glad that this movie puts an end to the legend of Michael Myers. So hopefully this franchise does what this movie title says, and it ends. At number 4 was a movie that I rewatched for the newest installment of this franchise release back in March, I believe. This is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I thought The Secrets of Dumbledore that was released this year was actually a pretty solid entry into the Fantastic Beasts franchise. This one, however, is fucking pointless. Like, here's the rest of the Harry Potter franchise, and then here's Crimes of Grindelwald. This one, like, why was this made? You literally have no advancement in anything. Our characters go nowhere. There is only like one fantastical beast in this entire movie. For a film called Fantastic Beasts, you'd think there would be some beasts in this movie. All for us to learn that Ezra Miller's character is a Dumbledore, which that's important because reasons, I guess. I don't know. And it's also a shame because I think Johnny Depp was tapping into something with this character of Grindelwald. Too bad we'll never see him again. At number 3 is a movie that I really don't want to talk about at all. It puts a smile on my face just knowing that this shitty-ass movie was made. It's a movie called Love Stinks, starring French Stewart. That's all I really need to say for it to make this list. It's led by French Stewart. Yeah, this movie stinks. It's a movie about a couple that fall in love with each other, but the guy has commitment issues and doesn't want to propose to the girl. So the girl is stubborn enough to stay in the relationship until he proposes, so she's gonna make his life a living hell, instead of doing the healthy thing and breaking up and just saying sayonara and then going off and finding someone else, or just being your own person in this world, because you only have one life to fucking live. But no, she decides to stay in this relationship until he proposes to her. But as a person, like, if someone didn't want to propose to me, I wouldn't want to be in that relationship. So why did you think this movie's so fucking stupid? At number 2 is a 2018 film that made me question how movies are made and why movies get made. It's a movie called Twisted Pair. Written, directed, produced, and starring Neil Breen. Who is that, you ask? I couldn't tell you. It's just Neil fucking Breen, that's who. It's a story about two twin brothers who get abducted by artificial intelligence, as he tells us multiple times, and they infuse one of them with powers to take out evil in the universe. The other one, the other twin, showed signs of evilness, so was cast away. And then the good brother who has the powers comes to Earth, and the two brothers reunite, and you know that they're brothers, and they're two separate people, because one of them has a glued-on beard, you know, to show the difference, and that time has passed. This is The Room worthy of terribleness. And it's at that point where it's so terrible that it's incredible, and I want to keep watching this. I believe the actors who play the villain of the story, they change midway through, and I don't know why, but it happens. And I feel like this movie was made because this guy, Neil Breen, created another movie that he thought was so spectacular and fantastic, but turned out to be very much The Room for him. For those of you that have seen The Room, you know what I'm talking about. But because that movie of his was so popular because it was so stupid, I feel like he created this movie and wrote this movie with all of the stupidity that he knows that people likes and put it in here. Because there's no way that anyone with a conscious brain would write this thinking that this was spectacular filmmaking. It is an incredible watch, though, and if you've never seen it before, check it out. It is incredible. But my number one worst movie that I reviewed in 2022, I will put it on my top 10 worst movies that I've ever seen list at number 2. It is a film called Mamma Fucking Mia. I watched this movie because an assignment that I assigned to my students for a movie evaluation, there's always several students of mine who watch this movie for it because they grew up on this thing and they love this movie. So I finally decided, you know what, I'll finally check this out and see what all the frickin' fuss is about. And I still don't know what the fuss is about because this movie is god-awful. If any of you want to see a group of white people get a free vacation to Greece, that's this movie. They get to hang out on beautiful islands, see sunrises and sunsets, go to the beach and swim in the ocean. Oh, and I have to sing a couple of songs that I sing all the time with my girlfriends at karaoke. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll sign up for that. Amanda Seyfried is awful. Colin Firth is terrible. Dominic Cooper is terrible. Pierce Brosnan is god-awful. I don't know who told him that he can sing, but they were lying to him. And then Meryl Streep, who everyone considers to be the best actress working of all time, is god-awful in this movie. The choreography is uninspirable. It's people breaking into movements and dances because it's a musical, guys. Come on! It's ABBA. Let's sing and dance and yay! I think the only thing that could have made this movie worse is that if Idina Menzel had a special cameo appearance and came in and started singing one of her songs, I would have taken a knife and slit my throat right there. You would have no more reviews on this channel because life would just not be worth living if that catastrophe would ever fucking happen. Mamma Mia is the worst movie that I reviewed this year, and it's one of the worst movies that I have ever seen. And that is my list and ranking of the worst movies that I reviewed in 2022. Thank you very much for sticking around. Check out my ranking video that comes out this Friday of the top 10 films of 2022 that were released in 2022, according to me. So guys, what did you think of my worst ranking list for this year? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you know the next time I'm releasing next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.